Hello YouTube, and I will welcome all of you back to another Rage video where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have got another reaction to Overkill to kick in tonight. And my eye was just caught because apparently I Hear Black is about David Berkowitz, the son of Sam killer. The song is written from Berkowitz's point of view. I'm gonna open up a little thing about Berkowitz, and we'll look into a little bit American serial killer David Berkowitz. We'll take a quick look at him possibly near the end of this, because it's not particularly unusual for rock and metal bands to start making songs about serial killers. They've all done it to some capacity. You get lots of songs about Jack the Ripper. You get a lot about oh god, who am I thinking of? Jack the Ripper, I'm pretty sure there must have been a song about the Yorkshire Ripper. Nightwish also did a song about the Columbine High School Massacre. There is a lot of material, and they're not short of it either. But with that being said, going into this to someone who knows nothing about Mr. Berkowitz, I think we're going to see exactly what... Do you think possibly these are supposed to be like brain stems inside Mr. Berkowitz, and they're all sort of like rotten and twisting in different directions? Maybe, possibly. But I quite like the idea that it's against like an orange backdrop. That's quite a striking look. But with all that being said and done, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. I Hear Black in 3, 2, 1, and... You remember how in the last video in Dreamy and Colombian, I explained how it didn't feel particularly like very spicy, or there wasn't kind of like a zing involved? I Hear Black, I can get into this. This is more chill. Like, if Dreamy and Colombian was like pumpkin soup, this is pumpkin and chorizo soup. You seriously have it in autumn or in early winter. It's fascinating stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was I Hear Black by Overkill. Like I said before, if Dreaming in Colombian was a very strange way for me to like start off this album, I Hear Black just kind of like pulled me into it a little bit more. It's like, you know what? Give it another try and it all makes sense. That's very, very catchy, and I always find it quite interesting, especially whenever a group decides that for one reason or another they're going to do a song about a serial killer. How exactly do you get into that person's head? What do you suppose makes him that way? What is the way we can represent madness in this person to make this more believable? And I think I love the fact that they got into Berkowitz's head and they asked questions like, why won't you leave me? Why won't you leave me? I won't care. He's asking so many things and they're kind of like counteracting off each other. Why are you leaving me? But I won't care. How am I supposed to breathe when there is no air? It's like he's asking these really strange questions. It's like he's got another person in his head who can testify to his alibi. I mean, what was the line again? How am I supposed to breathe when there is no air? And how am I supposed to be if those hooks are pulling me down? Exactly. So perhaps he was in some way in bondage or held back for some reason. So there was no way he could prove that he was. But then again, I suppose when he says hooks, like, what does he mean by that? I'm supposing it's not referring to the song, although that's a good excuse if any, but it kind of like leads into the idea that there are holes in this guy's story and why he's somebody who's hardly can be trusted. Let me see. Now what are you supposed to do when they got their hooks in you? Like, he suddenly is he asking us or is he asking himself? Well, one thing or another, because it opens up with basically the idea that Berkowitz is gonna admit to what he's done. Bad or a wet dream, feeling so in between, gun in my pocket and target on my head. He feels as if like he is going to be the one to... That's a very, very sociopathic tendency right there. Thinking that he is going to be the one miserable for what he's about to do. And then I love the part where the song all of a sudden just went really, really slow. Dun, 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 dun. I love it when it really slow because it just let things sink in. Like the process is just, this is Berkowitz's big moment, and then he did what did he do actually? I've got to find out. So David Berkowitz. For other people named David Berkowitz, see David Berkowitz disambiguation. Son of Sam redirects here from other uses of Son of Sam, seeing the disambiguation. Mugshots, August 11th, 1977. Born Richard David Falco, June 1st, aged 67. So he's still alive? He could have been that old, 24 years old. I would not say he looked 24, he looked at least like 38, possibly. David Richard Berkowitz, also self-proclaimed with the name Son of Sam, and christened by the media as the .44 caliber killer, due to the weapon he used, is an American serial killer who pleaded guilty to 8 separate shooting attacks that began in New York City during the summer of 1976. Berkowitz grew up in New York City and served in the United States Army before committing his crimes. Using a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver, he killed 6 people and wounded 7 others by July 1977. The killing spree terrorized New Yorkers and gained worldwide notoriety. As the number of victims increased, Berkowitz eluded the biggest police manhunt in the history of New York City, while leaving letters that mocked the police and promised further crimes, which were highly publicized in the press. What a vicious bastard he was. On the night of August 10th, 1977, Berkowitz was taken into custody by New York City Police Department homicidal detectives in front of his Yonkers apartment building. He was subsequently indicted for 8 shooting incidents. He confessed to all of them and initially claimed to have been obeying the orders of a demon manifested in the form of a dog belonging to his neighbor Sam. Despite his explanation, Berkowitz was found mentally competent to stand trial. Oh, I bet that just sounds like he's trying to pin the tail on the donkey. He's trying to plead to insanity, but no, I don't particularly think they saw through it that much. He pled guilty to second-degree murder and was incarcerated in state prison. He subsequently admitted that the dog and the devil, it was a hoax. In the course of further police investigations, Berkowitz was also implicated in many unsolved arsons in the city. I knew New York City in the 70s wasn't particularly a well-endowed place, but that's... oh my god. Criminal penalty, 6 life sentences. 6 killed, 10 wounded, including 2 stabbings. In prison at Shargonka Correctional Facility. 67 years old. He spent the better part of nearly 45 years in prison. I don't even think 45 years even covers 1 life sentence, let alone 6. Intense coverage of the case by the media lent a kind of celebrity status to Berkowitz, which he seemed to enjoy because he's a friggin' sociopath. As noted by some observers, in response, the New York State Legislature incated 2 new statutes, known popularly as Son of Sam laws, designed to keep criminals from financially profiting from the publicity created by their crimes. 6-9. The statutes have remained law in New York despite various legal challenges, and similar laws have been enacted in several other states. Berkowitz has been incarcerated since his arrest and is serving 6 consecutive life sentences. During the mid-1990s, he amended his confession to claim that he had been a member of a violent satanic cult that orchestrated the incidents as ritual murder. A few law enforcement authorities have said that his claims may be credible. But he remains the only person ever charged with the shootings. A new investigation of the murders began in 1996, but was suspended indefinitely after inconclusive findings. Dirty, dirty motherfucker. Mind you, that's a good law to pass on there, right? To stop. I don't even know if we really... I'm pretty sure we... No, I don't particularly think we have that kind of thing in the UK. I don't particularly think we have laws on that sort of thing. But, well, Berkowitz, all I'm going to say right now is that I know you're not watching this video. I know fine well you're not going to see the light of day probably for the rest of however long you've got to live your miserable satanic life incarceration. And you think I've got bad things to say about you. What about all the people you killed? What about them, Mr. Berkowitz? Did they deserve to die? What did they do to, get in your way? What was the name of this group you were part of? What the hell possessed you to suddenly think that, you would believe that a dog, you had the idea from a dog that told you to kill people? Do you really think the police were just going to say, oh, okay, right, so sure, we'll just slam off. Yeah, that's a nice dog as well. No, there was absolutely no way that you were ever going to get away with it. And I'm glad you never got away with it. I'm glad you're serving 45 years of what can only be described as your first life sentence. All I could say, Mr. Berkowitz, is that as you sit there probably thinking, because 45 years is a very, very long time, I sincerely hope you've had a long time to think about what you've done, and then you could probably think that again as you are serving your second life sentence. And just to make sure, I hope by the time your sixth life sentence comes to an end, it will be the year 2467. Just because I want to make it absolutely certain and adamant that your body never sees the light of day for what you've done. Harsh words, perhaps, but then again, I'm pretty sure all the people you killed have got a lot meaner things to say to you by the time you get up to heaven. Just don't expect any, royalty checks or, a hero's welcome when you get up there. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought about I Hear Black by Overkill. And please make sure to also check out the rest of my channel. See if there's anything else you might take your fancy. There's plenty of videos on the way. And in that tone, I will all see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.